Hey everybody, Bill Murphy here with MMORPG.com, and we are back with another episode of MMOFTW, the week that was in MMO news. Quite a lot happened this week, and I can actually say that and mean it this week, so let's get right into it with the number one story being that Pathfinder Online has a new CEO. I should say GoblinWorks has a new CEO. Ryan Dancy is out. The game is completely going under control of Paizo, the people that run Pathfinder, the RPG, and all the rights to it and everything like that. Almost the entire team from GoblinWorks has been laid off. Only 3 people are left. That is the CTO, Mark Calms, art director Mike Hines, and the designer Bob Settles. The monthly subscriptions that are currently being used for Pathfinder Online's early access are what keeping those 3 employed and the single server up. GoblinWorks is also in talks, well, not GoblinWorks, I guess we should, GoblinWorks as it was is pretty much defunct, but the company, Paizo/GoblinWorks, is in talks with multiple game publishers to take the game on and bring it to open enrollment. Now, you know as well as I do from our review, from our coverage, and all over the internet and from forum users along the way that Pathfinder Online just is not in very good shape, and it's pretty much our opinion and also the opinion of many that Lisa Stevens, who is the CEO of Paizo Entertainment, essentially took over the game because they were beyond depressed with the fact that it was hurting their company's good name and that their IP's good name. Pathfinder is probably the most popular tabletop RPG right now, even more popular than Dungeons & Dragons in terms of how many people are playing it. And it's also going under the point right now where a lot of people are trying to make games for it. There's a Pathfinder card game coming from Obsidian, and the last thing you want is a high-profile flop of a crowd-funded MMORPG that is nothing like your intellectual property. It always sucks when people have to lose their jobs and things don't go well, and we really need a nice big new hit in the MMO genre right now as fans, and this is not the kind of thing we want to see happen, something that's a high profile flop. But hopefully now, coming back into the fold of Paizo Entertainment and under Lisa Stevens' direction, we will see the miraculous turnaround of Pathfinder Online. I say hopefully because I'm not holding my breath. I think we all know that is not something that is easily going to be done, and I doubt that there are very many publishers out there who are super excited about trying to publish a game that is just not where it needs to be. So if you want to read the full story and the full letter from Lisa Stevens to the Pathfinder Online community, you can head over to MMORPG.com. We've got it right there. It's also, the link will also be posted in the description for this. So let's move on away from that, away from some sad news, and talk about more sad news, to Marvel Heroes. There are layoffs at Gazillion Entertainment. They have been confirmed by the company, and this is what they had to say. Yesterday, this was probably Tuesday or Wednesday. As a result of company restructuring, we at Gazillion unfortunately parted ways with some truly excellent personnel. We wish them well in their future endeavors and would recommend them to other employers in a heartbeat. To our players, the best community in gaming, rest assured that Gazillion remains very healthy, and we're as dedicated as ever to continuing to deliver the stellar new content you've come to expect from us. It's very sad, actually, that this had to happen, but it doesn't necessarily spell doom and gloom for the game. We don't really know how many people were affected, how many developers were laid off. The team at Marvel Heroes and at Gazillion is actually relatively small as it was. They just hosted a nice panel at PAX Prime talking about all the upcoming content coming out of the game, which we've covered on the site as well. So I don't necessarily think that this is a very big deal in terms of the health and viability of Marvel Heroes. They're also going under a major rebranding, and they've got all the new Marvel movies coming out in 2016, so I highly doubt that they're in trouble. However, it's really sad whenever anybody has to get laid off and lose their job, and hopefully those affected find new places of employment fairly soon. So in some good news, though, however, for those of you guys waiting for something new to play, maybe you haven't played it before, WildStar is going free-to-play, as you all know, and that official free-to-play date is now announced as September 29th. And not only is it coming with a whole host of content, including new dungeons, new tutorials, new battlegrounds, or what do they call it? Yeah, all this new stuff, changes to classes, changes to crafting, changes to rune making. It's also coming with the Shades Eve Halloween event event, which has long been brewed. They canceled it last year when all the restructuring was happening and when they were planning to do this free-to-play stuff, we can assume. So now we know the free-to-play version is going live September 29th. That's just in a few short weeks. Personally, I think WildStar is one of the most underrated theme park MMOs out there, and I can't wait for all you guys to get your hands on it if you haven't tried it yet, or if you haven't tried it in a while, because it's really changed a lot and become a much better game since it launched last year. And in some good news for Crowfall fans, it looks like the development is on track because the pre-alpha testing began with the Hunger Dome game mode, which is essentially just a PvP combat arena mode. There's, grayscale, gray box stuff everywhere. They've got, there's not a lot of artwork completely finished in terms of what you can see for the backgrounds and for the terrain and everything like that. It's basically just a few of the classes with minor character customization stuff available with the UI. You're testing out the combat. You're seeing if it's really fun and if it's working right now. It's very much looking kind of like Terra Combat right now, where it's point and click to aim, very skill based. It's a single elimination game mode that also pits players against the Hunger, the destructive force that destroys all in its path, with the idea that it forces teams to compete with the ever-dwindling real estate and resources. You can watch some video from the combat stuff over on YouTube. You can also check out our streams page on MMORPG.com, because we've actually had some streamers stream it, and there is even more streaming to come, because this won't be the only test. They're going to have several phases of this testing, of the combat testing, before they get further along into the actual alpha testing, pre-alpha. Who knows what that is? I guess there's nothing before pre-alpha. Maybe they shouldn't call things beta and alpha anymore. Maybe they should just call it really early testing. But head on over to the website and take a look at some of the videos. It's looking pretty sharp. It's good to see progress. It definitely looks up to the quality of what they're going for, so check it out. And last but not least, as we found out at PAX Prime last week, Guild Wars 2 Heart of Thorns will be bringing raids to Guild Wars 2, but these raids are not like what you'd expect from World of Warcraft or Star Wars The Old Republic or even WildStar. These are 10-man experiences. They're supposed to be the most upper echelon of challenging content for the game, and there's a whole blog now over on the ArenaNet Guild Wars 2 website that goes in depth about what you're going to have to do, what you're going to have to know, the kind of masteries you're going to have to learn, and the idea is that it's not about just tanking and spanking for 10 or 15 minutes. You're going to have to really be focused on your execution, your dodging, your support, your crowd control, your interrupt armor breaks, everything like that. So utilization of the correct masteries will also be key. So there is no attunement. It's not going to be really hard to get into these dungeons. As soon as you actually get to the point where you can get to where the dungeon is, where the raid dungeon is physically on the map, you'll be able to enter it. You'll be able to grab some friends and meet up and go inside. No attunement or anything like that. However, if you don't have the proper masteries, you're not going to be able you might be able to beat the bosses. You might be able to cheese your way past them, but it will be a lot easier if you have some of the gliding skills or mushroom jumping skills or lore skills and things like that. With the idea is that when the game launches, when Heart of Thorn launches, they're not going to have the raid open right away. They're going to open the first wing of that raid after a couple weeks, and then later, after a couple weeks after that, they'll open the second wing, and a few weeks after that, they'll open the third wing, and then the raids will become a key integral part of the endgame content and the I guess you can call it small group, but maybe not 10-person PvE, and as the game goes on and they get back to their patching cadence after the expansion. And if you are curious, yes, there will be legendary armor, and it will be exclusive to the raid. You won't be able to get it anywhere else. At least that's what we're hearing. If I'm wrong, someone in the comments can correct me. But if you want to read all about the raids and how cool they are for Guild Wars 2 Heart of Thorns, just head on over to the Guild Wars 2 site or click the link in the comments below to read our news story. That'll do it for us, folks. Another great week full of news. Some depressing stories, some good stories, but at least we're back to actually getting stories that matter this time. Maybe it's a sign of the times, and we're heading towards fall, and people are going to be inside their houses, and maybe that means we'll actually be gaming more and seeing a lot more content come out of devs. One last shout out, of course, goes to the Gazillion team at Tryon and Bluehole Gino. They just started their they're alpha testing for friends and family and for pre-orders and stuff like that, so that's pretty cool too. So a lot of games on the way, a lot to look forward to. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Google+. Does that matter anymore? At MMORPG.com without the dot. If you're keen, you can follow me on Twitter at TheBillMurphy. And remember, don't let a bad pug get you down.
Make sure to level up your MMO knowledge by visiting MMORPG.com, subscribing to our YouTube channel, and by following us on social media. To catch up on the week's biggest MMO news, watch our latest MMOFTW. And to see if there's a better MMO out there for you, watch one of our latest First Impressions videos. Thanks for watching.